Hey, Tani.
Hello, my.
Oh gosh, I've been here officially since May of last year, but I moved out here in April. But my cohort started in May of last year, and I'm an entrepreneur. I do social media marketing. I am working on a plant business endeavor right now. I mean, anything to stay away from what we call it, the digital corporate field. I don't want to do that anymore. So
Not mad at that. All right, Tani, your turn.
My name is Tani Della Pena. I'm a copywriter. When I got here, I moved here in April, so it's been about 10 or 11 months. I moved here from Oakland, California, but I am originally from Los Angeles. But as you can see, I love my Oakland roots as well. But when I got here for Tulsa Remote, I quit my job and now I'm 100% freelance, baby, thanks to Tulsa Remote.
I love it. I love it. I'm so excited. So I'm excited for you guys to tell your stories, not just about like why we moved, what we like about it here, but also I want us to make sure we hit on the fact that we've been able to network and do good business in Tulsa too. But I'm gonna let Dom introduce herself, and then let's just go off camera so she can share if she's. Do you have a presentation that you want to share, Dom? Okay. Well, we're gonna move out your way.
That's okay. And please grant grace, because I'm just jumping on this this week. And so thank you, Libria, for inviting us to be a part of this. Tani, Britt, you guys are all amazing and always people that, I always reference as I'm meeting new folks coming through the program, always being like, hey, you need to meet Tani, you need to meet Britt or Libria, So I really appreciate everything you guys are doing and just being ambassadors for Tulsa just in general. So love you guys, continue to do what you're doing and bring more people in. They've made it, so I believe everybody else can make it as well. A little bit about myself. I actually, I'm originally from California, Los Angeles to be specific, and my parents are immigrants of Belize who met in California and had us there. And I moved to Tulsa back in 2007 when my dad transitioned jobs with American Airlines. So unlike a lot of people, they had the choice to move to Tulsa. I didn't have the choice to move to Tulsa. I moved here in my last couple of years of high school. I tell everybody, like, it was a hard transition for me. I won't lie, it took 10 years because Tulsa was not developed the way that it is now. And so over time, I started working, went to school, came back, started working within a lot of community capacity. So working with the homeless population, working with the mental health population, working a lot in workforce and kind of develop leadership there. And then I joined Tulsa Remote back in February of 2020, right before the pandemic hit. And so it was a major transition for me moving over to the program, but ultimately I wanted to join Tulsa Remote because I just thought it was an amazing concept. And then being that I had experienced my own, kind of downfalls and up and down roller coaster of moving to Tulsa, just wanted to be a resource for other people coming in to help them kind of navigate. So similar to what Libria and Tani and Britt are doing now, that's what I was doing naturally. And when this program presented itself, it was just like, why not be a part of that? Why not help in a more official capacity and see how I can help kind of lend my own resources and experiences to support other people. So that's just a little bit about me before I jump into the contents of Tulsa Remote and kind of what the program is about and really how we support people through their transition. And so I'm going to share my screen really quickly. Let me know if you guys see it. Can you see that?
We see it.
Okay, perfect. So well, let's see if it will let me move the screen. Okay, so just a little bit about Tulsa Remote, and I'm just kind of read off of here. So Tulsa Remote was founded in 2018. So as you guys noticed, I started 2 years after the program existed. And it's really about bringing and attracting new talent to Tulsa. So the easiest way that they sought to do that was by bringing remote workers who already have full-time positions that were able to kind of move around wherever, explore new things. And we really wanted to create a lot of awareness to Tulsa, what we have to offer, and just allow people to kind of join this growing environment that we have here in Tulsa. So people who are accepted into the program, obviously you guys have heard that they will receive $10,000. And really all we're asking is that you spend a minimum of 12 months in Tulsa. Obviously, we want you guys to stay longer and want you to love it and stay here longer, like a lot of our members have. And in addition to the $10,000 of cash, they also get rewarded with, opportunity to work out of a co-working space called 36 Degrees North here locally in Tulsa. So for remote workers where you're, kind of all working from home, you still kind of want to have that co-work experience where you get to know people, you see them on a regular basis. 36 Degrees North has been a great resource for that, for people who are entrepreneurs, but also remote workers to still kind of have that co-working experience while they're going through this. And then in addition, there's just several incentives that are offered just throughout the year, just to kind of help people to stay engaged, help them to stay excited about Tulsa. And we're always trying to do more things and programming around that as well. So the biggest measure of our program success is the retention. We've welcomed over 1,400 people into Tulsa Remote, and majority of those people have chosen to stay in Tulsa. And so that has been amazing. It is not without its challenges, because like a lot of people, depending on where you're coming from, what you're looking for, life circumstances, all of that, right, affect people being able to stay or move, things like that. And so that's one area that we're consistently talking about, like how do we not just bring people to Tulsa, but we really want people to turn into residents of Tulsa and stay here long term. This data is a little bit old, but just to kind of show where people are moving from, what you notice is a lot of people are moving from East Coast, West Coast, and then a little bit more in Texas. Those are where the majority of our folks are moving from. So California has been amazing in terms of moving people over. As we know, the costs are rising, all of that. I have a friend or friends that still live in Tulsa or in California, sorry, who always tell me how they love it there, but they hate it at the same time. And so they're ready for changes in quality of life. And so a lot of people have transitioned from the kind of outskirts to moving into the Midwest where we are now. What our members do for work, and this has also kind of changed over time, just with the pandemic coming on. A lot of people who initially were in remote positions, a lot of that work really fell in like the tech industry. But what we saw is during the pandemic, a lot of places who weren't already remote ended up going to remote work. And a lot of those companies stayed remote work. And so it created a lot of opportunities for people to be able to apply for this program and get in based off of that transition. And so we're happy to say that, at first we were looking at, we want to have more diverse industries in Tulsa, and it kind of blew us out the water in terms of like how much diversity we got, even as the pandemic took off and got us to where we are now. So a lot of people now in nonprofit, we have people in tech, of course, financial services, health and wellnesses. We've also seen kind of a jump in even like the entertainment industry, and people being able to be actors and actresses and being able to do that full-time remote. So they're able to kind of move around more than what we've seen before. Some of the keys to our program success. So our city investing in placemaking. And so really, really creating environments in Tulsa where people can come and, enjoy just being here. So like our growing art scene, our recreation and parks and things like that. A lot of people know Tulsa for the Gathering Place. That was pretty new, an amazing park. If you haven't checked it out, please check it out. One of the best parks that I've ever seen from all over. We really do try to make sure that we invest in the community. And when I talk about the community, it's really not so much just the Tulsa remote community, but really the local city here. Like I said, like our end goal is for people to stay in Tulsa and to find their place so that they ultimately will stay here longer and just lay roots here. And so a part of that is just making sure that we're, showing them about Tulsa, getting them to learn kind of the culture here, and helping people to find their place a little bit more, whether that's socially or professionally. Supporting our members upon arrival. So, once our members are accepted into the program, one of the things that we try to do is invite people to visit the city to kind of see it for themselves, so that they can feel comfortable about making that move and making that decision. We'll show people around, give them tours of the city, things like that. And then once you actually onboard, we have an orientation for all members to kind of talk to them about the program, talk to them about what to expect, all of that stuff right out the gate. And then our goal, and one of the things that we're doing this year, is making sure that all of our members have a specialist that they can go to that they're assigned to that, we'll follow up on with them to figure out what exactly that they want to do while they're here locally, and just kind of be somebody to support them throughout the program and throughout their 12 months and beyond. Another thing is connecting members within the city. So there's a lot of nonprofits and there's a lot of people that are doing great work in the city already. And what we like to call this program is like a way to get people involved in a city that's already growing. So you guys, people that are coming through already have their full-time jobs, or they're growing their careers, they're growing their businesses, all of that. But we really want to make sure as people are coming, they're also connecting with the locals here and connecting with leaders here, who are also doing some of the similar work, and seeing how we can collaborate to continue to help Tulsa to grow in those specific areas that people fall in. As I mentioned, as a participant, you would get the $10,000 incentive that is basically you're getting a lump sum up front, and then you're getting a stipend each month until your last 12 month in Tulsa. And then you also, if you're looking to buy a home, or that you're going to buy a home right out the gate, we also are able to give that $10,000 as a lump sum if you were able to be accepted into our housing program that we have. You also get the co-working space access. And so, that's a place that you can go in anytime between Monday through Friday. Some of our members also kind of increase their packages and want to have their own personal office space, things like that. And then recently we actually just committed and created a partnership with 36 Degrees North, that people not only just get that co-working space access for that year, but now it's been extended for them to get 3 years. So some of the things and incentives that we're kind of changing, because we know that, after 1 year, like, people are still kind of getting settled in, and we want them to maximize the opportunity to work out of that space and take a full advantage of the resources there. And then also our programming. So one thing that we're consistently doing every month is making sure that we have different events for people to connect with each other, for them to learn about the city, try new things, and also kind of meet other locals as you're going through that process. And so what we know is, like, moving to a new city, like, if you don't know anybody at all, sometimes it could be difficult to kind of find your place. And so we're hoping that these events will allow people to come in, at least make a couple of friends that they can then go and explore with until they find, and that may be your core friendship group, or over time you might find new friends, things like that. But we just want to make it easier for people to meet each other because they're all going through this same experience, and it's easy to relate to somebody going through the experience than trying to fit in within a city that maybe has already, kind of taken off, or has its clicks and things like that. And then providing support to our members. Like I mentioned, we're constantly evaluating how we support our members and want to make sure that our members, get integrated. And so we've changed a lot of our processes, and things are in the works to make sure that, like I said, our members have specialists that they can go to, talk to, that we're constantly getting feedback and can share experiences for new folks going in. And so those are some of the things that we offer to our participant. And then what we see our participants offering to the city and this program offering to the city is just additional revenue, to come in, support taxes, valuable skill sets. So being able to extend the skill sets our members are coming and bringing to the overall city, and getting some of that cross collaboration to help the city to continue to grow in the right way. Connections, like, everyone's coming in and they're representing a different company, or they're, also influencing their company to kind of shift over to Tulsa. I've seen a lot of people who have moved over, and then next thing you know, their whole company has moved over because it just makes more sense because all their staff are working remotely here. So things like that, diversity and drive. One of the things that was very difficult for me moving to Tulsa was the lack of diversity that I saw in Tulsa. And I will say that there's still some work to be done in that area. But I will say that Tulsa Remote, what made it exciting for me to join was the fact that I knew that people were going to be coming from all over the world and coming to a place where people may not have been able to experience in LA or a New York and things like that. And so essentially you're taking all of these different diverse set of group of people with different perspectives, mindsets, experiences, bringing them to Tulsa and then creating an even different culture than what has been here before. So super excited. And I really value this program for that specifically, because I've seen more and more people as a result, like either finding new friends, finding different groups, and then like really pushing the conversations around like, how do we create more diversity, and not just diversity, but equitable opportunities here in Tulsa. So for me, that's super exciting. And then the impact that our members are having within the community has just been amazing. And then seeing the collaborations that happen for people who live in the city and then also people who just joined the city. I've just seen some really great work happening as a result of people coming in and really wanting to invest in their community, but also investing in themselves along the way. So like Libria say, like people are growing their businesses. Britt and Tony, I'm sure they'll share all of that, but like there's so much potential here in Tulsa, and people, if you jump into it and you really like pursue that, a lot of people have been very successful in finding the place that they want to be and just growing their personal and professional goals. Excuse me.
Hey, Dom, can I break in for just a second to help you answer some questions? So Tanya and Britt and I are like being your assistants in the comments.
Thank you.
But the people that watch the replay won't get to see these questions. So I'm going to ask them in here as well, real fast. And then you go back to that and then we'll get back to more questions, but there's a lot, so I didn't want to lose them. One question was, can I rent a place and buy a house / investment property and get the 10K towards my property?
Say that one more time.
Can I rent a place and buy a house? So this person is saying, can I buy a house, get the 10K, but rent a place? The house will be my investment property. And what we mentioned is that the contract does stipulate that if you buy a house, it cannot be an investment property. So in this case, you would get the installments unless you made that house your primary residence.
Right, that is accurate. Thank you, Libria.
No problem. Someone said, can you say more about the total cost of living and the housing stipend?
Yeah, so the total cost of living, and I don't know the actual percentage, but it is fairly decent in comparison to all of the states, a lot of the states around us. And so it's very affordable to live in Tulsa. One of the reasons that I stuck in Tulsa was because as a young person, kind of going through my own professional development, what I found was like my friends in LA were like rooming up and like had to live together, whereas I was able to have and rent an apartment for $700, a month. And like that was feasible for me as a young person, and it created my ability to be able to save and be able to travel whenever I wanted to, stuff like that. So I would say that Tulsa is very affordable. Obviously, like everywhere is kind of going up right now as a result of the pandemic.
For some context, me and one of my friends in Atlanta were talking about, we were comparing how much it cost us to get our nails done randomly. So she's in Atlanta and she was telling me how much it cost her to get a full set. And it's, I think, at least $30 more for her. So every 2 weeks, every month, she's paying $30 more than I am just to get nails done. And this is just nails, right? So you can imagine like the cost of living is definitely lower. And I'm talking about Atlanta. Atlanta is already lower than New York, Chicago, LA, and those places. And Tulsa's even lower than that.
Agreed.
Someone asked, the 10,000 over 12 months or a lump sum of the 10,000 if you purchase a home. That is correct. Is it only open to American citizens?
No, it's not, but you do have to be eligible to work in the United States.
Yeah. So one of my friends who is from the UK, she was accepted. She's deciding if when and if she's going to move. She's currently in Bangkok, Thailand right now. So but she's from the UK and she was also accepted into the program as well. Someone says, does everyone start their 12 months at the same time?
No, at one point they did. And so you'll hear, about this group of people who came in the first year. And I think there was 70 people that was selected and they all went through at the same time. After that year, it went to a rolling phase. So new people are coming in each month. And so we might have anywhere between 60 to 90 people that are moving to Tulsa every month.
Yep. And someone said, is there a breakdown of participants by age group, ethnicity, and gender? Is that somewhere on the website?
There is, but it's not on the website.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Is the 10K separate from the housing stipend? I want to be very clear. There is no housing stipend. It's 10K to come to Tulsa, right? And it is paid to you depending on what type of housing you choose, right? So if you choose to rent, it's paid monthly. If you choose to buy, it's paid in a lump sum after you provide a proof of purchase. Real quick, Dom, someone asked about the 10K breakdown. It's not necessarily 10,000 divided by 12. You get a higher sum up front to help offset moving costs, right?
Yeah, I believe you get about 2,500 to offset the moving costs, and then it's $500 a month until your final month, where you'll get the rest of the lump sum of that $10,000.
Yep. Someone said, what's the age range of participants? What's the average age? Man, it's all over the place. The age range is so all over the place. Like, I can go to a Tulsa Remote meetup, or Corinne had a housewarming party when she bought her house, and we're there, and I'm 43 years old, and I think Corinne is like maybe 25.
Yeah.
And then Jackie is older than me for sure. I think Jackie's older than me. So it ranges. There's some people in the group. There's a couple of people in the group that are in their 50s. There's people in their 20s. There's people in pretty much every age group from adulthood up.
The minimum age is 18. And I was actually surprised at one of our events where we found out that we actually had some people that were 18 in the program. So.
And actually there's a woman in the program, her daughter is in the program also. So a woman and her daughter are in the program as well. Jackie and her daughter, Jax. Do you all know any remote positions or give any headers for that? I'm the person to talk to for that, Adrika. If you do not follow me on Instagram, you should probably do that. I'll send an email out and give you guys the links to all of the resources that I share for remote work. We're about to go into the how to get accepted. All right, so there's a lot of messages. All right, so I'm gonna let you go back because now the questions are about criteria to apply and how you get into the program. So I'll go back on mute.
Okay. So the criteria for the program, as I mentioned, you have to be 18 years or older. You have to have a full-time remote position already. And then you also have to be living outside of Oklahoma and be willing to commit to 12 months of living in Tulsa. Obviously we want that to be longer, and we usually can keep folks longer. So I'm very excited about that. But yeah, you would have to meet that minimum criteria. In terms of applying for the program and what that process looks like, you would just apply, via tulsaremote.com, apply on there. And what will happen is once you've applied and your application has been reviewed, you meet that minimum criteria. What they're going to do is invite you to come to an interview where they're going to get to know you a little bit more further beyond your application, and kind of make sure that it's a good fit for us as a program and a good fit for you as well to move to Tulsa. Once that interview has happened, they will let you know that you've been accepted. If you've been accepted, we're going to invite you to visit to check it out for yourselves in person and kind of help guide you around while you do that. Once you've committed to wanting to join Tulsa Remote, because we've already selected you at that point, you would essentially be picking a move-in date and then completing an orientation upon moving to Tulsa. That orientation date is when you're officially a part of Tulsa Remote, and that's when you start to get the incentives that are offered through the program. And so all of that kind of preliminary work is really just to make sure that it's a good fit for you and it's good for us as well through that process. And then once you guys have moved to Tulsa and done the orientation, at that point, you have access, like I said, to all of the incentives, including the 36 Degrees North co-working space.
Did you move to a different slide? Because it hasn't changed on our screen.
No, I think that's all I have. Yep. Okay. Yeah, so just kind of saying once you've moved to Tulsa, that's when you really kind of take advantage of the program and get the incentives. We'll add you into Slack, which has over 1,400 other members in there that have gone through the experience or currently going through the program. So they're constantly sharing resources, all of that good stuff. And then you'll also be able to attend any of the events, TR hosted events that we have going on and kind of engage in the program in the city in that way. So that is the skinny of Tulsa Remote. Obviously, if you guys have more questions or you want more insight, things like that, I'm always willing to share my experiences, with you all. And so that's my email. Feel free to reach out if you have questions or concerns or anything about the process. I'm happy to help.
Oh, honey, they got questions. Plenty of them. All right. So I'm scrolling back up. We could listen, your assistants couldn't even keep up with all the questions.
I saw them blowing up. Keep up with the questions. I'm gonna wait for y'all to help me out because.
Listen, okay, so where did I stop? Remote positions. What's the housing market like? Tani was right, Monica. The housing market is crazy everywhere in the United States. It's starting to cool down. But just like Tani, I lost 3 offers to people that had cash offers before I bought my house. It's starting to slow down now, and I think that's true across the US. So yeah, the housing market is good, but it's not, I mean, I think Monica's from California, if I recall correctly. It's definitely not California. So you'll be pleasantly surprised about that. And there's a lot of realtors in the group. The good thing about it is once you get accepted, they bring you into the Slack group and you can start asking for resources, right? So that's how I got my realtor. I went into the Slack group and Stephanie Robeski was recommended to me, and I started working with her, and she was amazing. And a lot of the folks are amazing. Can you explain the moving expenses one more time? I think the only thing that we said about the moving expenses, you said they get $2,500 up front to offset that, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Did they change it down? Because I got $3,500 up front.
Did you?
Yeah, it's $3,500 up front, and then you get $500 thereafter, and then your last month you get $1,500.
Okay, they might have increased it because you came in last year, right?
May last year.
Yeah, they may have increased it.
Yeah. All right, and then it says how many people are you guys accepting in the program? What are my odds of being accepted?
Man, we get lots of applications, and our goal for this year, we're probably going to bring in around 1,200 people just this year alone. And so when you look at the amount of applications that come in, and then you're like, it's a lot, right? And so you don't think that you're going to have the chance to get in. But what I hear from a lot of people is like they didn't think they were going to get in, and then they got in, and things moved really quickly. So I think it's just a matter of making sure that you meet the minimum criteria, that you're filling out the application completely. Yeah. One of the things that I saw when I was doing interviews when I first started was a lot of people wouldn't complete the application, or they wouldn't believe that like this is a true thing, and so they wouldn't actually go through and like really represent themselves well on the application. And so unfortunately, like those were the people who didn't necessarily get in just because, the staff wasn't able to really decipher, kind of who that person was and what their intentions were, and kind of what they wanted to focus on. So
that's really good advice. Someone said, once I get a remote job, do I need to work for a certain amount of time before applying? Nope. Come through. If you're remote, come through. There's no cooling off period. Do you have, I think we answered that one already. After applying, how long does the selection process take? How do we find out if we're accepted?
The selection process is pretty quick. Once they've reviewed your application, I've seen people get in within a matter of a couple of weeks, or get their interview within a matter of a couple of weeks. And then after the interview, it's pretty quick in terms of that being scored and then you getting your reviews. So I've seen some people get in within a matter of a month's time, sometimes 3 weeks, just kind of depending on when they're applying and how much is coming through at that time.
Yeah. Someone asked, how soon after would we have to move if we get accepted? I got accepted in December and I moved in July.
Yeah, you get a year to move to Tulsa. Yeah.
Doesn't matter when you come, you get a year. They give you a whole year, right? Because things like what Adrika brought up, lease breaking, you got to break your lease. So
I did
definitely give you some time.
I did hear from one of my friends that she deferred her 1 year. I don't know if that's still something that you can do before she actually moved here.
I think it would be circumstantial. I think there has been situations that are like out of people's control, that we've had to make some concessions for, but overall, we usually try to get it within a year.
Someone asked what the winters are like, and Britt said we got tons of snow. Let's put this in perspective.
And I said we got tons of snow, and then it was 65 degrees.
No. Let's define tons of snow, right?
Okay, so
Chicago,
for like
but these people aren't in Tulsa, Britt. These people are not in Tulsa. You can't go say tons of snow to some
okay, so let me.
For real though, when she said that, I was like, God damn.
No, okay.
No, girl, don't do that. Don't do that.
I'm from Detroit, and I know what a winter is like, right? But for Tulsa to have as much snow as what it did, I was like, man, this is like a lot of snow for out here. Like, I didn't think they got winters out here like that. And that's what I mean. Like, it wasn't tons of snow compared to like up north, but like for Oklahoma, I just didn't think they had snow like that. but
Yeah.
it literally melted. Like it was like
probably
65 degrees today.
2 or 3 inches, right?
Yeah.
About
And it
3
looked like a lot. And you know what? A lot in this city, it shut down. Like the streets were terrible. Like
Yeah,
people were buying things out of the store. Like we were in an apocalypse. Like it shuts down like that a bit.
Yeah. It was actually pretty nice to just be in the house for 2 days.
Yeah,
but
it was really
I just
nice.
wanted
I
to
loved
clarify what she meant by tons, because someone's here from the Caribbean, right? And so in their mind, it's like she's talking about Minneapolis slow. Oh no. I just wanted to clarify that. Do you have to spend a minimum amount of time in the city per year to be considered living there?
Yeah, we usually say about 70%, because we know people still have to travel for work, stuff like that. So, you know, as long as you're living here majority of the time and it's not like you're flying back home for 3 months or 4 months, like you're good.
Yeah. How often are there tornadoes?
We probably have a couple each year, but you know, it's honestly, I'm from LA. I'm more scared of earthquakes than I am of.
I'm terrified of earthquakes
than I am of tornadoes, if I'm being honest. So you know, we'll get a couple warnings and things like that, but rarely do you see the tornadoes hit down within the city.
Yeah, it's worse in. I feel like it's worse in Oklahoma City, and it's like less. It's gonna happen less in the more rural towns. And if you think, and if you're scared of tornadoes, Dom's wonderful friend Scott explained to me that if you're near a freeway, a tornado will be attracted to the heat of the freeway. So as long as you're far enough from the freeway, you should be good from tornadoes.
Interesting. That's pretty cool. The thing is, depending on where you are in the United States, you have your natural disaster, right? And so you're afraid of all the others. I'm from Hurricaneville. So blizzards, tornadoes, earthquakes. Someone asked, can you share more about what information is asked for in the application? That's a Dom question for sure.
Yeah, there's a lot of information, and we've actually changed it over time. So obviously, like your demographics and things, and that's just because we really want to be able to track data. And like you guys mentioned earlier, where you're like, what is the breakdown of like age range and all that stuff? So we ask the demographics. We ask about your employment, you know, just to kind of verify that information. We also ask about, you know, your commitment to diversity, inclusion, community work, that type of thing. And so that is really the majority of the questions, outside of just like capturing your data, and then also like making sure that you fit within the criteria of the program. So age and all that stuff.
And you can go and look at the application. Like, it's not going to hurt you to go look at the application. It's not going to hurt you to go fill it out either. Like nothing.
All you have to do is hit back.
Click the button.
Yeah, and just hit back. You don't even have to turn it in. You can find the questions. It's a type form.
So, and I'll tell you, I do remember being asked, explain how you build community, or how you enforce, or what is the word? Reinforce community or something like that, or encourage community. I remember that. And why is community important to you? I remember those things. So yeah, you guys can always go look at the application too. And I also say, fill it out. Like, you don't have to sit around and wait and think about it. Go ahead and fill out the application. Like, this is not a college application. You don't need to build an essay. You don't need to sleep on this. You don't need to wait on this. If you're thinking about doing it, go ahead and apply for it. Right? Because worst case scenario, you don't hear anything. Best case scenario, you do. And the next question someone asked, coming to Oklahoma is a part of the process. Is the cost covered? When I got accepted, they were reimbursing up to $500 for your travel to Oklahoma. So most people do a Tulsa visit. There's even a Slack channel for that, for Tulsa Visit. So when you get accepted, again, you get invited to Slack, and there's a channel for Tulsa Visit, and you can post in there, and people will like go out to dinner with you, meet up with you. And Dom, you guys do tours now too for the Tulsa Visits, right?
Yeah, we do a tour, and then we also do a dinner that Thursday that you come and visit, so that you can get to meet other members, meet the team, and also meet people that are coming in to visit with you.
Yeah, you get a year. You're able to come sooner. So someone asked, we get a year to transition. Are we able to come sooner? Yes, up to a year. Your approval, your invite expires in a year, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
What is the primary reason the program exists?
It's really to diversify, you know, the industries and the talent that we have in Tulsa. As you guys are probably just noticing, like you're probably just hearing about Tulsa, right? But Tulsa's been around for a while. You know, and a lot of the work that we're doing is really to kind of help the city to grow in a lot of different ways, like the diversity of industry, the diversity of people. You know, Tulsa has some deep history here, and this is one of the areas that we're able to kind of change the culture that's been here for so long, just by adding more people, adding more opportunities to the city, and helping not only just people moving in, but like people who live here as well to grow. So
I can add to that too, Dom. There's actually a study that was made about Tulsa Remote by Harvard Business School. And it's basically the problem that they were trying to solve for is to fix the brain drain that's happening in the middle of the country. And so what the brain drain is basically people who are who are from these areas in the center of America, they get an education and then they leave. And so that means that there's not as much knowledge left for the heartland of America. So they're trying to solve for that issue to create more diverse talent so that the economy doesn't die.
Yep. Yep. It's pretty dope. Somebody asked, how is the program funded and why $10,000?
The program is funded through the George Kaiser family. And he provides actually a lot of his wealth to a lot of the nonprofits here in Tulsa. And so Tulsa Remote is actually a LLC of GKFF. And honestly, like looking back at everything, and after I joined, what I've heard from the previous executive director was that they didn't think that this program was going to grow as massively as it did. So it almost kind of started off as an experiment, and it just kind of blew up, and it just kind of went to another level. And then like now at this point, it's like, we can't stop. Like we have to keep going. So.
Awesome. All right. So people are now asking us questions about, you know, living in Tulsa. So I feel like it's about time to kick you out, Dom, so we can like answer these questions.
Tell them the real. You can tell them the real. Okay.
Dom, we love you, just so you know.
We do love you.
It's okay. I got my real, but you know, it's a little deep. My stuff is a little deeper, you know, like we're gonna talk about history, and we're gonna talk about some stuff that's deep rooted that you may not even know. So hit me up.
Guys, if for no other reason than to meet Dom, you should apply for the program. If for no other reason to like meet and hang out with Dom, like it's all worth it.
She's so much fun.
Dom is my Scorpio twin. We're like here. We've been here before we even met. We were here.
I'm sorry, Britt. No, me and Dom are here.
Oh, I beg to differ. I put this whole thing together to bring Dom and introduce her to people. So
I met Libria before she moved to Tulsa. I think I was talking to you. I met Britt, but it's just it's so many great people. Like if I say like if I enjoy anything out of my job, it's like getting to meet people like all three of them. Like anytime that I get to talk to them, we just click, have a great time. And for me, that genuine spirit is like really what I want to like grow and increase in Tulsa. And so for me, it's like exciting to have you guys all here, and the energy that you bring, and like that genuine, authentic, you know, just lifestyle. Like, I just love that. And so if nothing else, show up because of some cool people, and you get to connect with them really easily, really quickly. And yeah, I love to meet you guys once you get in and move over here.
Awesome. Dom, thank you so much for breaking it down for us and for the people here. And I got to figure out where I'm going to post this recording, but I'll send you a link to it, whatever I do with it.
Awesome.
As well.
Thank you. Y'all have fun. Talk to you later.
Dom.
Bye, Dom. All right, so let me tell you how I really is. Okay, so again, I moved from Atlanta. Tani, you moved from California, you said?
Oakland.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oakland.
Yeah. Oakland, California. Yeah.
Oaktown. And Britt, you moved from where?
San Antonio by way of Detroit.
Okay, and I think, so I'm trying to scroll to the questions. It's so funny. So someone asked, I'm trying to get back to the first question people asked me. People asked us that was like for us to answer.
Oh, what's a pleasant surprise you found out about living in Tulsa?
For me, I can answer that first. For me, my pleasant surprise was that it reminds me so much of my hometown. And when I came to do my visit, my hometown is Tallahassee, Florida. I'm from Tallahassee, Florida, which is where Florida State is and FAMU is. And when I came to do my visit, my daughter and I came in, I was like, and it was kind of a ghost town because it snowed, because it was around this time last year, and it snowed as well. So nobody was out in these streets, but I was like, this feels so much like my hometown. It feels like Tallahassee. And I don't know why, I just get this vibe. And it feels like Tallahassee, like when I was first in college and it was on the verge of growth, like it was just starting to really grow. And I see that in Tulsa, like I see so much growth in Tulsa and so much more potential. I know it's changed over the last several years since, Don moved back, but there's just so much more potential, right? And what was surprising was when I came back to Tulsa and I was like, man, I brought one of my friends who's from my hometown too. He said the same thing. So I started doing some research, and Tulsa, the area of Tulsa, was settled by a lot of the Native Americans that got pushed out of North Florida, which is where I'm from. So it makes so much sense that the vibe is similar. And the name for Tulsa, the original name for Tulsa, comes from the same name as Tallahassee. The original name for Tulsa is Tallahassee. So that was surprising for me. Like I feel like I'm back home. Like I feel like I'm home.
Alignment right there.
Yeah, it was just alignment, and I feel like I'm home. That was my most surprising. What about you guys?
For me, honestly, if we're gonna be real, is like, I mean, outside of just like the vibe. So I was saying like in the chat, like it feels like, excuse my dog barking. It feels like a mini Austin to me, because San Antonio is like super close to Austin, and I love Austin's vibe. It's just like really cool, like people like chill, like very health conscious, like they're just in their own little vibe. And it kind of feels like that to me out here with like the different things offered, but the way it's like kind of like niche-y as well. Like there's kind of like one of one type of everything here. But honestly, so when I moved in May, and it was like the perfect time for me to move, because that's when the city was opening back up from everything being shut down from COVID. And then last year was a centennial of the Tulsa massacre, and just like coming here and learning about that, because I knew nothing about Black Wall Street. I knew nothing about Tulsa massacre prior to moving here. I had to move here and learn about it, and then really get into it, like to learn even more about it, because you hear about the surface level stuff, but then you really get into it and you like start learning more and more.
Yeah.
So like when I moved here, it was like June, so Juneteenth. And I have never seen as many Black people. I was wondering, like, is there a lot of Black people out here? Like truly, that's like one of the things that I thought about just thinking about Oklahoma, like the word Oklahoma or the word Tulsa, like, is there Black people out here? I've never seen that many. In fact, they said that we had the largest Juneteenth celebration in the United States. Like that's how many Black people were there. And then of course the centennial of the Tulsa Race Massacre. So 100 years of that happening, 100 years ago. So it was a big celebration, a lot of things going on Black Wall Street. But yeah, like, I think that's like the most surprising was just like the amount of Black people out here, honestly.
Yeah.
So
I like
that,
that.
Tani.
For me, I was really scared as a gay person of color. So like legit, I was like afraid of racism. I was afraid of people throwing, I don't know, come to my house with pitchforks because I'm gay. So pitchforks, I did. All I knew was like deliverance,
Okay. All right.
But so my pleasant surprise is this, guys. I, as somebody who lived in the Bay Area, I spent so much time with so many liberals. And especially after 2020, we were pitted up against each other so much, conservatives versus liberals. Guess what, guys? I've met so many conservatives here that are not like the bad monster that we were like made to see during the pandemic. And like, I've made friends with so many people who have radically different views than I do. And they're great friends. Yeah. I like, that's the biggest pleasant surprise. And I'm so happy that I would not have expanded my mindset had I not met these people.
And don't forget, we have Pride Street in Tulsa. And I think that the Pride, the LGBTQ community center is one of the third largest in the US.
It's a beautiful center. It's huge. Yeah. I mean, there's not like really that big of a gay community, but I can say like people show out for Pride out here that in a way that I was really surprised.
All right. So this comment right here, I got to call it out because I hadn't heard this until I posted it on Facebook, and somebody was like, I only know about Tulsa from watching First 48. Are there shootouts on every corner? Are there shootouts all the time? I was like, what are you talking about? Here's what's funny. Back to my Tallahassee parallel. Back in the day, Tallahassee used to be on First 48 all the time too. I had no idea. I've never watched the show. I also have never seen or been in any of the events that have happened on these shows either. Not in Tallahassee and not in Tulsa. I mean, I was pretty safe growing up in Tallahassee, which is apparently one of the most dangerous cities in the United States. Who knew? But for crime, somebody asked about crime rate. A few people asked, is there a lot of crime? Somebody said, are the shootouts every weekend? I honestly can't speak to the crime rate. I don't know if you guys can. I can only speak to the fact that I think every city has its bad parts of town. I don't know a city that doesn't have bad parts of town. We don't live there.
I know for sure that South Tulsa has a pretty low crime rate because I was concerned about it, but Tulsa overall does have a high crime rate, but that shit's relative. Like I lived in Vegas and Vegas has a terrible crime rate. I've lived in like in Harlem, and that has a terrible, you know what I mean? Like I think it's what you make it, you know? And danger's everywhere, like Libria said.
I live, so North Tulsa is a predominantly African-American concentrated area. And so the area that I live in is like, it's North Tulsa, but I call the area that people kind of get like, okay, this is a bit sketch. Like, I don't know if I need to be going there at night. That's like North Tulsa. Like there's an exaggeration on the North because the further north you go, just with the way things went down, like in history, the train tracks divided the Caucasians from the African Americans. So like on the south side, that's where white people were. Then they pushed the Black people to the north side. So they've just been around for like that many years and really concentrated in that area. But I think when you move to Tulsa, that was like one of my things. And we have such a great Slack community that will tell you, like, if you go in there, you're like, hey, I'm looking for this, like what areas are great. Like there's a lot of people that come in there asking like, what is the area? Because you're going to come in here new and you're going to be like, I don't know. And that's like a really big question, like in the community is like, what area is great? Like, and then people will voice, like people will keep it real. They'll tell you like what streets like not to be on, like, and whatever. And it's honestly like to take with a grain of salt, like take it with a grain of salt because you're going to know.
Right.
If the area is not for you. Like, let me say that.
And I'm gonna say it this way, like I feel like a lot of times it depends on who you're getting the information from, right?
Yes.
Because some people will view a place as sketchy.
Yes.
And it's a place that you feel comfortable being. Like,
right.
Like Jay-Z said, I'm cool on any MLK Boulevard. You know what I'm saying? Like they don't feel comfortable being there, but like these are my people, right? So when I say like we don't live on the bad part of town, like typically, no matter what city you live in, you're going to move on the part of town that has, you know, the most amenities, has the most best transportation, has the best schools. And those are naturally going to be the places that have the lower crime rates, right? So if I were moving to Chicago, you know, there's a certain street number that I'm not going down, right? I'm not moving past this area, right? Because that's just kind of known as, you know, the more dangerous parts of the city. Same thing with Atlanta.
And I live on the very conservative side of town. So people would argue that's dangerous for someone like myself. But I can say that they're more scared of me than anything else. They just look and stare and wonder why me and my wife don't live with our parents. So.
That's hilarious. And there's like a housing portal as well. So like you can go on there and they give you like the list of apartments that we've partnered with so you can get like discounts as a TR person. And they're not going to steer you in an area that is like not good. And if you choose to get a house, well, the real estate agent is going to, you know, they're pretty well versed in the city. So they could tell you like, if you're like, hey, is this a good area? They'll let you know. So, I mean, you're in good hands in terms of like the area that you move in, if you ask and just, you know, be resourceful in that respect.
All right. So on the Keeping It Real train, someone asked about racism and microaggressions.
Oh my God. Like okay. Can I go first?
Of course you can.
Okay. Cause I just need to get this out. Cause I never thought I would experience it. And it was indirect. Like, let me say that. So I'm like the type of person that I get along with all races. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm just cool like that. And I'm also the type of person that if you say something, I may address you depending on if I got time today, or I may just be like, you know what, let me pray for this person because clearly they're ignorant. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It just depends on the mood. But I had a gentleman, he was an electrician and he came downstairs for one of my clients. We have an Airbnb in my apartment and he was putting in a light fixture. And my shirt, I had on a shirt that I bought from Black Wall Street and it said, entrepreneur, what is it? Entrepreneur, oh God, something about like entrepreneurs to bosses, but it was like entreprenegros to boss or something like that. Oh no, it said from slaves to boss. That's what it said.
Okay.
Entreprenegro from slaves to boss is what it said. And he was like, why are you wearing that shirt? And I was like, because I like it. And he was like, but you're not a slave. And I was like, but my ancestry was like this old white gentleman. And he's getting into the conversation and he was like, so how do you feel about, you know, like you're not from here, I can tell. So like, how do you feel about what they, you know, talk about the history? And I was like, you mean the Tulsa race massacre? And he was like, no, it was a riot. And I was like, you really like formed those words out of your mouth to tell me as I'm wearing this shirt and we're like in the same place and you're putting out this energy in like the Airbnb is focused on Black excellence, like all Black brands, 80% Black brands, like everything just culturally rich, and you're going to put that kind of energy in here. So I was like, okay, like let me figure out like how, like I really had to think fast. And I was like, I'm not going to react because clearly he's ignorant.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I'm sorry you're misinformed. And I'm about to leave because we're not about to have
Britt, is that your first and only encounter like that?
That's my first and only encounter.
Yeah. And you've been there for how long?
Almost a year.
Okay.
So very isolated. It's not you're going to be out here and people are just, you know what I'm saying?
No,
like,
but I think that's what people think. And that's kind of was my fear before I moved there, right? Like I'm moving to Oklahoma. Actually, my mother said, do they like Black people in Oklahoma? That's what she said. and I don't move with the belief that like I need to be places where Black people like me. I don't give a damn if you like me. Like I'm gonna be where I am.
Right.
I belong everywhere. That's my feeling. I will say this. I have not had any microaggressions or racism in Oklahoma yet. I live in the United States of America though. Like there's just not many places where you can be for a long period of time and miss out on, you know what I'm saying, on microaggressions. I don't care if you're in New York. I don't care if you're in the deep South. I don't care if you're in Mississippi. I don't care if you're in cool ass California. You be there long enough, someone is going to say something.
100% agree. 100% agree.
You know what I'm saying? So I will say this, everywhere I go, when I sit at bars, because you can tell I'm very, very, very outgoing. I just randomly talk to people all the time. And I said something to my best friend. I was like, you know what? The white people are so nice here, but not like nice, like I'm trying to prove I'm down. They're nice, like we're both two humans having a conversation. I never get the feeling that they're trying to, that people who are non-Black that talk to me are trying to make me feel like, you see, I'm cool with Black people, right? So I will say I appreciate that. All that to say, there definitely are, you know, a wide range of types of people and types of beliefs there. The neighborhood that I live in, I can drive down the street and see a Tulsa Black Lives Matter flag, drive a little bit further down the street and see a Blue Lives Matter flag, drive a little bit further and see a Trump flag, drive a little bit further and see a Democrat flag. Like there's definitely a mix of people, but I can say that it hasn't been as in your face as it was in Georgia, so to speak, right? But maybe I haven't been there long enough to really tell.
Yeah.
We're in Texas. But again, one of the things I try to tell people is we are still in the United States of America. Thankfully, I haven't had any racism experiences up to this point yet. But you know, you stay anywhere in the US long enough, it'll happen.
Yeah, I agree. As an Asian person, I'd say I get the same amount of racism that I get anywhere else I've lived, where people wonder whether or not I speak English. But here's the thing, what kind of to what Libria is saying is this is considered the buckle of the Bible Belt states, and whether or not they agree with my lifestyle choice, they definitely, I think they care more about being like well-mannered than projecting their beliefs. So whether or not they know that I'm gay, at the end of the day, what they want to do is be very polite and well-mannered. So they want to have, and so I've never met nicer people than when I've lived here. And to the point where like me and my wife were like lifting a TV out of our truck, and a white man from indoor ran outside to help us. And then he saw that we were both wearing masks. So he said, hold on, and then put on his mask and then helped us carry the TV. I didn't have to do anything, just my wife and that man.
So just my wife and that man. Damn, Tawny. Damn. All right. Here's another keep it real question. And Tawny, I'm sorry, you're disqualified from this question. What's it like dating? Is Tinder popping? I'm gonna keep it real. No. Tinder is not popping, in my opinion.
I'm on Hinge, and I'm just wondering where all the Black people that I saw.
Where are the Black men?
Yeah, because they aren't on Hinge. They're not on Bumble.
Hinge, Tinder. I will say it's popping if you're.
But
if
I'm honestly,
if you're down with the swirl, it's popping.
Not gonna lie though, because like Dom's number was actually inaccurate. Like we're almost at 2,000 people in Slack right now, like even in the Slack channel. And so there's potential to meet somebody. Like it's not like.
But it also gets hairy if you start sleeping with other Tulsa remoters. You know what I'm saying?
Please don't.
That's a whole nother conversation. But
listen, please. I've just listen.
It's possible. I mean, people have definitely met in Tulsa in the Tulsa Remote program. I mean, my daughter has a boyfriend.
Oh, that's cute.
My daughter got a boyfriend. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I don't know what I'm doing wrong, but she got a boyfriend in Tulsa. So, I mean, it's definitely possible.
Yeah,
actually, two of our friends in Tulsa met in Tulsa Remote and are dating.
Yes, there are people dating from Tulsa
Yeah.
Remote.
Yeah.
We actually have, let me not say that, but yeah, we have some people dating from Tulsa Remote.
I have to expand my flavor profile.
And that's honestly, like, I'm open to dating all races. So I mean, if you are open, let me say that, but I think it's also a matter of figuring out where the type of person you want to date would be at.
Yeah.
Like sometimes it may not be like on an app, like maybe they're going to be at church or like at a bar, or shoot, like you can go to the co-working space. We have 2 of them, 36 degrees north and 36 degrees north base camp 2. You can meet people anywhere. So, but on apps, no, like it's not popping on apps like how it was in Texas for me. Like I met my ex and we dated for 5 years off of POF in Texas, but out here, I'm like, why isn't it that much easier? So I don't know. Maybe I'm not destined to meet them online. It's just me to go out and meet people in person.
I miss meeting guys in the grocery store. You know what I'm saying? Or at the gym.
See?
So somebody asked if they can list us as alumni referral. You can list either one of us as an alumni referral. And if you fill out your application tonight or tomorrow, if you get accepted, we get a little bonus. So
yeah, send it to me. I'll be your bestie. Like
same.
I will take.
Yeah, I think Libria's hit her max. Come over and
I know. Yeah, come over here.
I've got like 1 or 2 more I could take.
How many is the max, Libria?
5.
Really?
Yeah, I've gotten 3, I think.
Yo, they need to put you on their street team. Like you need to be out recruiting like everywhere. They didn't just have you on the street team.
They just need to pay me.
What the heck? You seriously? Crazy.
So yeah, if you fill out an application tonight or tomorrow, just put one of our names down. I think we can get it 5 referrals and we get a nice little bonus if you guys accept.
Listen, I would appreciate it. I promise to God, I will take you out to a nice extravagant dinner and show you a great time.
It costs you nothing for us to get this bonus.
Nothing.
It costs you nothing for us to get this bonus. And I'm going to say this again. Don't spend, you don't have to spend a whole lot of time thinking about this, right? Because you can apply tonight or tomorrow, fill out the application. If you get accepted, you are not required to move here. You can still change your mind, but just go ahead and get that part of the process out of the way, right? So that you have the option. Go ahead and give yourself the option to decide, do I want to move to Tulsa? So fill out the application. It's super straightforward. I think it took me like 10, 15 minutes to fill it out. Yeah. Go ahead and get yourself in the process and feel free to list us as an alumni. I think, by the way, we have to fill out a referral for them too. Oh, but Betsy will tell you their names. Yeah. If somebody sends a referral with your name on it, she'll tell you who did it, so that you can fill out the other side. She's cool. So nice. So yeah. All right. So I'm going to pick maybe 2 more questions and then let you guys go, because I know it's like 8 o'clock for you over there.
This is so fun. Wait, what do you mean over there? Where are you at?
I'm in Colorado right now.
Oh, I'm like, aren't you?
I'm in Colorado hanging out with my coworker / travel buddy.
Nice.
Oh, you guys, he's waving. So let me let him say hello.
Hi.
Can you see him?
I see a beard.
I'm in.
That's him. That's my buddy Des. It's my travel buddy / coworker. The ladies love Des, guys. So, if any of you want me to,
I'm on Hinge.
He's on Hinge. If any of you want me to slide your number. All right. How long have I been in Tulsa? 6 months, 7 months. Someone asked about starting businesses. Oh, I didn't want to leave here without talking about this.
Let's talk about
There
it.
are so many people in Tulsa who own their own businesses, who are freelancers, who are starting businesses. And the great thing is this network is crazy. Our Tulsa Remote network is crazy. So crazy that both of these women, I have hired both of them. I actually have hired 3 people in the Tulsa Remote program. So Tani is completely revamping all of my marketing. Britt is managing social media for the Quick Community Conference, and I've hired another Tulsa Remote person to do operations management for both of my businesses. So yes, you can start a business in Tulsa Remote. And Tani, go ahead and tell your story right quick.
So long story short, I used to work like 14-hour days. And right before I came to Tulsa, I got in a car accident. I crashed my car into like 3 hours before I arrived to Tulsa. I crashed the car into the center divider. The state of Oklahoma sued me for it, but I paid for it. Anyways, well, basically my wife was like, that's it. Like you need to do something different. So like, if there's any time, why did we move here?
Yeah.
Our expenses are down more than $500 a month. If there's a time to take a chance on you, this is it. And let me tell you, I have, just like Libria said, I have never lived in a city rich with so much fucking opportunity. There are so many accelerator programs, one of which that both Britt and I are in, and like, there's so many. It's like
you're like giving away money in Tulsa. Like
they're giving away money
so much,
specifically to people of color. So we all have a chance at that money, and it's a very different experience than if you were to do it in San Francisco or if you were to do it in New York, because they specifically choose people that they want to help lift up in the world. And I'm talking about people like you and I, you know what I'm saying? And like, if you look at the economic impact report, at least we've created Tulsa Remote members in the last 3 years have created 600 jobs because they all quit their jobs and created jobs for people in Tulsa.
Tani, remember you drugged me to some pitch competition a few weeks ago.
I did.
So we went inside of this pitch competition, and this woman won $50,000. It was a loan, but it was 0% for the first, 0% interest for the first 3 years. I want to say for the first year, for 3 years, $50,000, and she won another extra like $10,000 on top of that, free and clear.
Oh my God.
And
there's so many programs in Tulsa right now.
Me and Britt got into a program where we just had to pitch one of our idea for a business.
And you can pitch as many ideas as you wanted to. Did you know that?
I didn't know that. And at the end of the program, it's a 3-month program, you get a $5,000 grant to launch your project. So
and they're giving us mentorship.
Yes, mentorship from people who've actually done shit, guys. Like people who have a lot of money.
Yep.
Yes.
Sorry, Britt, it was your turn.
Okay, so in terms of business, so I've been an entrepreneur for 5 years. And when I moved out here, my social media marketing business, like I had just started it in February. I moved out here in May, and literally it blew up. The connections that you make through our Slack channel and TR alone will put you in circles of people that you would have never thought that you would be in. And they're all like super humble and cool. Like, I mean, some of these people have like super fancy like job titles, or they do like really amazing things. And I'm like, dang, I would never think I would just be hobnobbing with you right now. But it's just, it's just cool and chill. Like everybody is just on the same kind of like level playing field of, hey, we're here to like create and connect and like do amazing things out here. So my business like blew up. Like Libria said, like she's one of my clients. Like I've had a lot of clients like come from Tulsa Remote in general, or just word of mouth about me, like to other people, and it blew up. And so now I'm working on another idea, like Tani was talking about with the Idea Accelerator that we applied to and got in. In fact, 10 or 11 people in TR got in, and they only accepted 20 for Tulsa. So like majority of that was people in TR that pitched their ideas, and now we're getting this $5,000 grant. But there is so much opportunity for like people of color in entrepreneurship. It is like unreal. I don't know if it has to heavily do with like, Black Wall Street and them kind of like wanting to build that idea back up, or just the fact that Tulsa has tons of opportunities. But in terms of like being an entrepreneur, like in San Antonio, I never felt like there was just room for me to grow, like as an entrepreneur, as a woman of color entrepreneur. But like when I moved out here, I was like, man, like they just want you to have businesses. Like any idea, they can find somebody to connect you to and like blow that thing up and like make it successful. We have a lot of connectors like in our organization, or like in TR as well. Like Libria, for one, we have a guy named Oboom. I say Oboom is like the mayor of Tulsa because he was actually one of the first Black people that like came in the first cohort when it was like, what, like 80 people. He was like one of the first, but he's so plugged in Tulsa that you can literally tell him what you want to do and he will direct you to whoever you need to do, wherever you need to go. And he is just an amazing asset to like Tulsa. So like even a connection like that is like priceless. Like I always say, if I would have known what I known before they told me about the money, I would have moved here had they not paid me. The $10,000 bonus is honestly just a bonus.
Yeah.
To me, like it's more valuable, the connections that I've made, because on the longevity aspect, like, listen, the connections are way more valuable than that $10,000. $10,000 can be gone in a year.
On the fact though, Brittany, that you put together an amazing event.
Oh,
Britt put together something called a plant event, and the event was so very well done. And she didn't even like the connections that she had to help put that event on. Didn't you say the Tulsa Botanical Gardens like donated a whole bunch of plants to set the place up? I got to go home with the plant that was donated to Botanical Gardens. Yeah. The person that DJ'd was in Tulsa Remote.
Everybody there that volunteered or worked there was in Tulsa Remote. Owone, she works for Tulsa Remote, but she did charcuterie. They did her banana puddings. I had some volunteers that are like some of my really great friends that are also in Tulsa Remote that I met through there. The DJ was in Tulsa Remote. And quite a few people came, from Tulsa Remote, as well as like just community wide in Tulsa. But yeah, like the connection that I made with Tulsa Botanic Garden, like priceless, because for me wanting to do a plant endeavor and having like that connection with them, like that partnership with them, like they give me free plants and I get to use those for like events like my plant and sip, which I am doing another one in April. So if y'all are out here before April, hit me up, because I'm doing another one in April, and I'm probably gonna do another one towards the end of the year as well again. But yeah, plant and sips. We drink wine, we have charcuterie, we have good music, we vibe, we plant, we educate, we learn, and we grow, and it's amazing. So I forgot about that. So thank you, Labria. I'd be forgetting.
I'm gonna save this question right here for last. That'll be like the last question that we answer, the question that just popped up. So don't answer it in the chat, guys. I also want to point out Kim, right? So Kim has been able to take advantage of connections. She's really wanted to like kind of move into leadership roles, and be on boards. She recently got accepted into, I think, the Tulsa Leadership Tulsa program, and she's now serving on the board of some organization as well. So like, it's just a really, really great place to do. I mean, the connections here are just complete. They're priceless. They're priceless.
Literally.
All right, so let's close it out with that question. Will you guys stay in Tulsa? Because it sounds like you love it a lot. I'll go last, I think.
Well, I really am. Like, really, in retrospect, I'm like, where else would I go? I mean, because I don't want to go back to Texas. Like, my family lives out there. I've done Texas. I was there for 10 years, not my jam. My lifelong goal is to just have a house in Colorado and be like super off the grid in the mountains. But
that's where I am right now.
Yeah, I mean, I have land in Colorado, so I will build a house like one day. But honestly, like for the time being, and like what I'm trying to do out here in Tulsa, like I want to leave my mark. If I leave, I'm gonna leave a mark. But I do want to open up a business. There are no Black-owned plant businesses out here, and I want to be the first one. If not the first, I want to own one out here and just like have that representation out here. So that's my goal. Before I leave, I'm definitely going to open up a plant shop. Period. But yeah, I'm going to stay.
I love it. So Britt staying. What about you, Tani?
I am staying for at the minimum, just because of exactly what Libria and Britt said. There's so much opportunity. I think I would do myself a disservice, genuinely, if I didn't snatch it up before other people figure it out. And so I'm going to be here for a minimum of 6 years. And if I do stay longer, it's because I'll have purchased land. And just so you guys know, I've already gotten more than $32,000 in equity on my house. And I've only been here since April. So just, they're literally giving away money.
Giving away money. So
I love it.
I honestly don't know. That's why I said I'd go last, because I have no idea what I'm going to do after my year is up. And it's kind of beautiful to be in a space where like I get to live my life such that, you know, I don't have to have made any decisions right at this point. I'm not in a rush to leave at all. Like I'm very comfortable in Tulsa. I've got great friends, making even better friends there. And if I get homesick, you know, Atlanta is just a flight away, right? just a 6 a.m. flight away. And I'm like, you know, Tani said, I don't want to leave there without having a few investment properties. And this is one of the things that we didn't really get to touch on, but I saw this as a really great opportunity to start my real estate investment portfolio, right? Because I can get that $10,000 and use that to invest in a property. And I know they are going to continually be pumping people into this city. And those people are going to do visits. So they're going to need an Airbnb. And those people are going to move, and not everybody wants to buy a house. Some people will want to rent, right? And so I hope to have at least 3 properties before I leave Tulsa. So I'm probably going to stay around until I hit that goal. That's it. So here's what I'm going to do, guys. I will figure out where to put the replay. I'm going to send an email out to everyone with you guys' social handles as well, so they can, you know, connect with you. And I'll probably put this on YouTube. I'll just probably put it on YouTube and people can go and watch it. So I'll probably put this replay on YouTube. So if you missed anything or you want to come back, we answered that question already, T. If you want to come back and watch the things that you missed, you can do that. And then I'll also put all their Instagram handles in there as well, and put a link to the application. It's just tulsaremote.com if you want to go and apply. So I'm going to say it one more time. Go ahead and apply for it. Caribbean presence. I have no idea. I don't think there's a strong Caribbean presence. So bring it. Inga, come through.
Yes.
Bring the Caribbean presence. And I will tell you, there is a market for great Caribbean food.
Yeah.
I think there's like
100%.
1 or 2 Caribbean restaurants there. My daughter is Trinidadian and we struggling. Come through, Inga. Come fill the gap that exists in Tulsa around Caribbean food and Caribbean culture. So yeah, guys, again, feel free to go ahead and apply. Don't spend too much time thinking about it. It's not a college application. Submit the application, see if you get accepted. If you do, you can come and visit and then decide if you want to go move to Tulsa. And you have a whole year to decide if you want to move. Like, you have an entire year after they accept you to decide if you want to move.
For any of you meat eaters, this is the best steak I've ever had in my life. All right, guys, just letting you know.
So King and Inga are coming through to start the Caribbean community. I'm here for it.
Please do.
Yeah.
Please do.
Please do.
Like,
when I tell you I want some curry goat roti so bad. So bad. Oh my God.
Sounds so good.
Oh my God.
Sister Ruse is like cool for Tulsa, but it's not like hitting like I need it to.
It's not the callaloo they have, like the flavor is good, but the texture is not Trinidadian callaloo.
It's Dominica. They said it's Dominica. Sister Ruse is Dominique.
Oh yeah, come through, guys. All right, I'm gonna let you ladies go. Thanks for hanging out with me. Thank you guys for joining to hear about the Tulsa Remote program, and we hope to meet some of y'all in Tulsa.
Yeah, hit us up.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.